In this video, I explain how to prepare for a job interview so you get hired. The actual interview is the most important part about the whole interviewing process. But we've got to plan, we've got to prepare and make sure that we deliver it with confidence and competence. I'll be talking about those two words a bit later. Now, whether you suffer from interview nerves or sort of imposter syndrome and anxiousness about having to go for an interview, the more prepared you are, the more opportunity you're going to have to having success. And obviously, there's the reverse. If you're not prepared, there's the less chance you're going to have of success. So don't leave your job success and happiness to chance. Follow these job interview tips that really will make a difference. Just before we start, I've got 3 real quick tips for you. These are really important. Don't even think about being late. Let me say it again. Don't even think about being late. Catch an earlier train, catch an earlier bus, or leave an extra 30 minutes if you're going to drive there. And also, write the names of the people that are going to see you on a card. Write them down, put them in your pocket, because this has happened to me in the past, is that I've turned up, oh, what's their name? And it can be a bit embarrassing at reception, and I just really make sure that I've got their names embedded in my brain. It's a nice little safety tip that I often use for meetings. So yeah, and use people's names. So that's one. Second one, if the interview is online, have some small talk questions prepared in case somebody's a bit late. There's nothing worse than those sort of, what do we talk about? Or even if you're in a meeting room and it is face to face, I always ask them sort of where they've travelled in from or where they are dialing in from, mainly because I'm quite good with where everywhere is in the world and in the country, so I'm normally quite knowledgeable on most places. Don't talk about the weather, or if the company's been in the news, perhaps talk about that. But this is a really important thing, have some small talk tips, as I call them, small talk tips of things just to talk about, so we haven't got any of those awkward silences. People would like you for this, because it just shows that, yeah, you're human, okay? And also, has the company been in the news recently? Do your research. I've got a good friend that went for a job interview and turned up at the interview and sort of started asking some questions about the company, and they said, well, haven't you heard the news? We got bought out this morning. And he was sort of left a bit red-faced. So yeah, 3 really important tips. Don't even think about being late. If the interview's online, have some small talk tips, and yeah, do your research on what the company's been up to recently. So they were 3 quick tips to get us up and running. So what are we going to cover in this video in more detail? Know your CV and your LinkedIn page and your story. Okay, we're going to do that, and that's really, that's the whole crux of everything. Okay, show that you're interested. Yeah, think about your body language, think about the questions. Have you researched the company? You've got to show that you're really interested. Okay, and we'll talk about that. And number 3, have great examples of how you add value to their competencies or whatever it is they're looking for. Show that you've got some good examples of what you've done in the past, but more importantly, what you can provide in the future. So know your own CV, show you're interested, and have some great examples. They're the 3 key areas that we're going to look at today. And at the end, I'm just going to take you through a job advert and put into practice the things that we're talking about. We've already also mentioned with regards to the nervousness, so be calm. Yeah, arrive early, already done that one. Tell yourself you've won the jobs before, you can do it again. You need to have a little chat with yourself, yeah? Tell yourself you've won jobs before and you can do it again. Tell yourself, I'm going to enjoy the experience of meeting new people. And I think if you just decide, right, I'm going to enjoy the experience of the interview, yeah, I'm going to enjoy talking about myself, I'm going to enjoy the challenge, it just calms us all down and puts us in the right frame of mind. I think that's a really important tip. Tell yourself, I'm prepared and raring to go, yeah? It's really quite important that you sit there confidently, especially in a reception, or perhaps if it's going to be online, you sat in your living room or your dining room table. I've done all the preparation. unprepared. Tell yourself, I expect that they're nervous as well. I know that when I've done interviewing, I've been really nervous. I think, gosh, I prefer to be the person being interviewed. It can be quite nerve-wracking doing the interviewing. It takes quite a lot of experience to get really good at it. So maybe there's someone on the other side of the screen or the other side of the table, they're just as nervous as you. Bear that in mind. And tell yourself that I'm good at what I do and I know my stuff and I can explain it well. Yeah, nobody knows me better than me. Time to demonstrate it. And also linked in with that, you may like to look at my previous video in the interview process and in trying to win a job interview. And yeah, please have a look at my book, Future Proof Yourself. Don't just rely on your CV, which gives you loads of tips and hints, and those all in the details below. Okay, so the first of those three things is know your CV, your LinkedIn page and your story. Know exactly your CV, every date in it, of what you were doing and where you were. If there's any gaps, make sure that you've got an answer for those. And your LinkedIn page, make sure you've researched it. And if you do lots of other social media, know what's on there, and there may be some stuff you need to remove. But also, make sure you've got a story. So your CV runs smoothly when you talk about it. And they say, could you talk me through your CV? Could you talk me through your work experience? And have reasons why you've moved from one job to another. Have reasons why you've moved from one position to another. What's your story? And this is so important. And now, what is the story of why you want to move to this organisation? If you can crack that, that makes a huge difference, because you wouldn't believe how often people are unprepared for actually talking about their CV and their LinkedIn or any other social media. And make sure that it flows. It tells a story. Take them on a journey. And yeah, we'll talk about the bits to add in, but you've got to take them on that journey. Talk about your learning. Talk about your experiences. Talk about the knowledge that you've gained. Talk about the value you've given to companies you worked for in the past. And as I said, practice, so make it flow. This is your real opportunity. And know what you've written. Don't get caught out. And if there's any obvious questions that you know they're going to ask you, prepare for them. I don't know if you've ever seen that programme called Dragon's Den, where people go on to the television programme and pitch their business to get investment. And normally the pitches of the business and the products or the service or the idea are really good, but they always get bogged down on the questions on finance. And so often the people that go on this program say to the dragons, oh, I knew you were going to ask me that, but they haven't prepared, which is bonkers. Yeah, so if there's any gaps, if there's any things you know they're going to ask you about, make sure that you've prepared and you've got a good reason. I had a finance director who had to leave his business because of financial irregularities that had happened within his team. It wasn't his fault. It was his responsibility. You could say it's his fault, but he had to make sure that he had an answer of how he was going to deal with that situation. So if you've got any gaps or any difficult ones, or why you've had so many jobs, or why all the jobs have been totally different, make sure you've got a good answer for that. Know your story, know your LinkedIn page, what's on it, how you've promoted yourself, and know your CV. It is, what's the word? It's just the great starting point. If you don't know that, you might as well not even go for the interview. Okay, the next bit we're going to look at is show that you're interested. You've got great questions and yeah, you've researched the company. Enthusiasm is infectious. Is yours worth catching? Now, I'm not expecting you to be Tigger on E-numbers and, hyper energetic and enthusiastic and everything's brilliant and everything's wonderful. But if you can't be enthusiastic about you, how do you expect them to be? And I think that's really quite important. Show that you're interested with your body language, even what you dress. Now, I know we've got this casual approach to the working environment, but if I was going for an interview, I would still always wear a jacket, and I wouldn't necessarily wear a tie, whereas in the past I would. I don't necessarily wear a suit, but I'd still look smart. And I think it still is important you've thought about it, and you're showing that you're really interested, and you cleaned your shoes. a lot of people always look at the shoes. And have some great questions to ask them about the business. You know, what do they like about the business? What's the future of the business? How are they dealing with different markets? What challenges are they currently experiencing? Be inquisitive about the job and the company in a positive way, that you're inquisitive and interested in what they're doing, where's it going, because you want to be part of this and you're very keen on how you want to contribute. Show you've done your research. On LinkedIn. LinkedIn is such a great wealth of knowledge, key people. Perhaps you may want to remember on your little card that you've put in your pocket of the key names of directors or key people in the business. Look at their websites, obviously, the news, the job advert, the job description. Make sure that you've really gone through it lots of times, so you're picking out the real key things that you can show that you're interested in and you've done your research. And if they've been in the news, show that you've read it and show that you've got an opinion on it, and ask them how they see that particular piece of news. Absolutely vital. And it's not all about you. Don't just talk about what you want to do and what you want to have in your job. I want to, I need, I must have. Talk about being part of a team, creating a positive future, working hard to support others and clients, quality, job satisfaction. Don't just talk about what I want, I need, and I want to be doing this in 2 years, and I then want to do this and I want to do that. Because that can sort of send the wrong signals that they're thinking, it's all about you, isn't it? How long are you really going to last in this job? And I'll come back to that, because companies do want to see that you're loyal and you're committed. Really important. And also being interested in the job and having questions and doing your research. Demonstrate that you're confident and you're competent about you and what you have to offer. That you're a good return on investment. Why should they employ you, or should they go and buy some new laptops because everyone's working from home? So make sure that you do talk about the value that you can bring, and you're confident about yourself, and you know yourself, and that's your competence as well, and you know what your skill sets are. Because if you can't talk positively about you, who's going to do it for you? Yeah. And as I said earlier, if you can't be enthusiastic about you, who's going to do it for you? So it's really important you show you're interested in them. Have some great questions to ask, and show that you're inquisitive and you're keen. Okay, well, it's great to see that you're still with me on this video, and obviously it is a very important video for your career and your future. And with that in mind, I've created a free download in the link box below that the download and the PDF will help you in your whole personal development throughout your career, and some really good tips and ideas so you can stay relevant and value for the rest of your working career once you've got your new job. Okay, so the third part is have great examples of how you can add value. Before we do this, we need to do a bit of research, and as I said, we're going to have an example of this with a job description in a moment. Research their values and understand what they're looking for, and talk to them about these things with examples. So look on their website in terms of their values. Some companies are very strong into their values. If they are, make sure that you've got a list of those, and examples of how you've demonstrated value in your current jobs or previous jobs, and how do you do it again. Okay, that's important. And also think about, what is it they're really wanting from you? Is it your knowledge? Are they employing you because of your knowledge, your expertise, your experience? Is it your people skills? Is it your attitude? Is it your commitment, your loyalty? What is it they really want from you? Understand this, and then think, how have I demonstrated this previously, and how can I demonstrate I will give value for the future? Really important. So they may be really keen on teamwork. Talk about how you've worked well as a team. Talk about how you'll work well in a team in the future, working with different types of people. If you've done any behavioural or social profiling, talk about the different styles of team members. Think about, and give examples how, you'd like to work with yourself. What's it you've got to offer that team? And I think that's really quite important. Is it the knowledge, is it experience, is it the people skills, the attitude, the commitment? Get the right line, okay? Important. So technical knowledge. Talk about how you've developed your technical knowledge in the past and how you're going to keep doing it for the future so you stay relevant and add value to their business, because you're perhaps at the cutting edge of the technologies of what's happening out there. Demonstrate it, provide examples, really, really quite important. And if you think this is going to be something that's going to come up with the interview, you may like to take some physical examples of what you've done in the past and how you've kept up to date with the latest technologies and how you've implemented them into previous jobs and companies. Maybe your experience. It may be that you've got many years of experience in working in different areas or a specific area that they're keen on. Talk about how you've delivered it and talk about how whilst you've got that experience, you're still able to adapt and use that experience for the future challenges and therefore the value that you're going to bring. All these examples are so important. Yeah, but maybe that they're wanting you to be very willing to adapt and learn. Show how you've done it in the past and how you're going to do it in the future, and that constant life of learning and future-proofing yourself. Yeah, maybe that you've got management experience. That's what they're looking for. How have you dealt with difficult situations in the past and got the best out of your people, and how will you do it for the future? Plan, think about all these areas, these competencies, these skills that they're looking for you to demonstrate the value. I think, to add to those, I mean, there could be lots of others, but reliability and a passion for the job. And I think a lot of people are really looking for those two things when they are recruiting. Perhaps people are staying less and less time in jobs. So it's really important you show that, I'm committed. I'm reliable and I have a passion for what I do, and people will respect you for that. So I think that's really important about having examples of how you've given value in the past, but most importantly, how you will add value in the future. This is quite an interesting exercise that I just wanted to take you through. This is a job advert, and we're going to put it up on the screen so you can read through it, and I'll read through it. But what I'm going to do is just stop at different places to say, okay, so what are they looking for? Okay. You'll be joining the resourcing team of 5. You've got to show that you're a good team member. Okay. And you're willing to learn and you're there for the team. It's not just about you. And reporting to the recruitment manager, provide administration for end-to-end recruitment of academic and professional service positions. So you've got to show that you can communicate on lots of different levels and you feel comfortable in communicating with different people on different levels. Okay, you'll be showcasing your personal people skills. We've just sort of talked about that, to show that you're good at asking questions, you're a good listener. Those attributes are going to be really important. They're looking for. So think of examples of how you've demonstrated them in the past and how you can continue to do it in the future. Well, whilst working closely with hiring managers to provide a smooth service, cross-check job adverts against the guidelines and provide the best guidance on where to advertise. Okay, arrange and schedule interviews. You've got to be good at planning, organised and prioritisation. That just screams out that's what they're looking for. So you can do your thinking about how you can demonstrate you've done this in the past and how you can deliver it in the future. With shortlisted candidates, send out contracts, complete right to work checks. So there again, you've got to show attention to detail. You've got to show that you're incredibly effective and you only need to do things once and it's going to be error-free. So there again, think about how you've done it in the past and how you'll make sure you'll do this in the future. And add the successful new starters to that HR system. So you've got to perhaps have demonstrate that you can use systems as well. That's your experience. What you'll need to succeed: recent experience within recruitment administration. So you need to demonstrate your experience in this area. Okay. Experience dealing with high volumes. So calmness under pressure, being able to work under pressure, and being able to deal with high volumes of work are really quite important. Of recruitment and conflicting deadlines. There again, that screams out of prioritisation. So yeah, as you can see, I'm picking out the key areas of what you've got to be able to demonstrate in that interview. Use of an HR system is desirable, especially SAP. And there again, if you've got that experience, demonstrate it and talk about how you're going to keep yourself up to speed. Now that's just a very simple example of looking through a job advert. You may get sent a job description and you need to go through it as I've done and pick out the bits. What are they going to be looking for and how do I demonstrate that I've got experience in doing that and the value that I'm going to bring for the future. So in summary, know your CV and LinkedIn page inside out, back to front, all the dates. Don't get caught out with any potential challenging questions and you go, oh gosh, I knew they were going to ask me that. Prepare for it. Have a good answer. Be calm, confident and competent about you. They'll love you for that. Yeah. Everybody wants to employ someone who's confident and is competent. Sounds good? Go and demonstrate it. Enjoy the experience, and even if you don't get the job, enjoy the opportunity to be interviewed and talk about yourself. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. So yeah, you're going to be disappointed if you don't get it, but I think if you go in there looking to enjoy it, they'll see it on your face. You'll be enthusiastic. You'll show that you want to be there, that you're going to enjoy being a pleasure to work with in the future. And I think some of those attributes are becoming more and more important. As there is more of a skill shortage in working these days, they're perhaps looking at willingness to learn, develop and grow as real important attributes. And talk about the value that you can bring and those examples, all those examples that I've talked through. Get the job adverts, get the job descriptions and think, right, how do I demonstrate this? And do your due diligence in terms of your research on what the company has done. LinkedIn, website pages and Google, them in the news. You need all of these things so you can be prepared to knock their socks off. How can they possibly not say yes to you after all of this? So just a few tips just before we finish off. If you can't be enthusiastic about you, how do you expect them to be? Yeah, really, really important. Answer the questions and don't waffle. Just answer the question. And if you feel you have waffled just a little bit, just say, has that answered the question? And it may encourage them just to come back and rephrase it, which is fine. Keep calm, don't worry about that. But please answer the question. Don't think, oh, I want to talk about this, that. No. If they wanted you to talk about that, they'd have asked you a question about that. Answer the question. Send a follow-up email or even a letter. Remember those letter things with a paper stamp? Can you imagine if you've been for a job interview and the next day or day after, they get a handwritten envelope from you, handwritten letter thanking them for the interview? I tell you, it can make a difference if it's between you and somebody else. Use the interview's names. As I said, use that card. Make sure you use their names. Pleased to meet you, Zach. Thank you for your time, Nikki. All those types of things. It just shows that you're human. It shows that you're comfortable. You've got good people skills. Really, really important. Okay. In today's market, a lot of companies want loyalty. That's one of their key ethics. They want a good team player. They want effectiveness. They want resilience. They want honesty. Think about how you demonstrate those things. And it's not all about you, what I want or what I need. It's about the value that you can bring. Yeah. So I wish you all the best in your job search. Please do let me know how you get on. And yeah, if this has been of use, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I'll see you on the next ones.